Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in the garage for a very casual garage gun talk. I don't really have anything pressing to talk about. The main thing I really want to talk about was kind of answering a comment that I got on the video that I made recently about how I deal with liberals in my professional life as a musician, especially in regards to what I do here at the Texas Gun Vault, and do they know what I do, and how do they interact with me knowing I'm so pro-gun, if they're anti-gun, or so forth. But I'll save that for the end because it's very political, and it's not necessarily a response that I'm going to give that is about gun politics, but politics in general, especially because they made a very interesting comment about Ukraine. But I know some people do not come here for my political opinion, and so I want to respect that. So I'll shove it to the end, and I'll give you fair warning before I start talking about that. But I do have a couple of gun things I do want to talk about, because I was editing some range footage today for a Geisley rifle and a Huxworks suppressor, both in 6 arc. Because it's so cold out here, I wasn't going to film anything, but I did take what little time I had to Texas Gun Vault, editing range footage. And so I got all that ready for me to make the bullet point scripts and come back out here and film all of the content. So there are a couple of guns I have on the workbench that are going to be going with me to the range on my next range trip, and I wanted to talk about them. The first one is a gun that some people have kind of warned me about, and the owner of this revolver said, hey, this is a fidgety, gimmicky revolver. Do you want to review it? And you're probably not going to like it. It's the STI Thunderstruck, chambered in 22 Magnum. It's a double barrel revolver, and both barrels go bang at the same time. And when I got this, I had no idea what to think of it. I mean, it doesn't even have a trigger guard. You got this long trigger, and some of you told me you're going to hate that thing. It's horrible, and you have to use both fingers to pull the trigger. Now, I do want to dry fire this, so I do have some like snap caps. These orange ones are provided by STI. I think it's called, is it STI? I think it is. Anyway, whatever company made this thing. And I also have some of these drywall hangers. So this will allow me to safely dry fire this at least once or twice, and so I'm not going to damage the firing pins or anything, or the chambers. So what I guess you're supposed to do, I discovered, is you put both of your fingers on that trigger, and you got to pull that back, and that is hands down the heaviest trigger I have ever felt on any revolver. I have no idea how this thing is going to shoot. I'm assuming in 22 Magnum it's not going to be all that bad. It's probably going to be pretty loud though. But man, you're going to have both fingers on that trigger. I can't imagine this thing is going to be very accurate. And I think the gun itself only holds 8 rounds. So what? You get essentially four pulls of the trigger. And you get 2 of them at a time. So that's crazy. So this is going with me on the next range trip, so I'm really excited to come back to the garage and tell you how this thing shot, because so many of you guys told me it's terrible. And look at that super duper short sight radius. So if you guys know anything about this gun and this company, let me know. And it's going to be kind of fun. Yeah, let me see who makes this thing. I can't remember. Standard Manufacturing. I thought the box had STI on it, which I kind of joked. I was like, that's the worst name for a company. But Standard Manufacturing, and it's in New Britain, Connecticut. So that is what this is, the Thunderstruck. This is going to be like one of those really weird gimmicky guns that I shoot, but we'll see. We'll see what that's like. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about and see if you guys do it, because I recently reviewed, in fact, I reviewed it yesterday. I finished the video on the Glock 30 Gen 3 and got it all edited and sent off to Bill, who lent both of these guns to the channel. This is his 30S, which is one of the next guns I'm going to review of his. And I was reviewing the gun, and I noticed that I needed to clean it, because I always clean every gun after I shoot it and before I return it to the people that lend them to the channel. But I noticed that some of these guns, especially that Glock 30, he had owned, or he has owned, since the late 1990s. And I'm going to show you something in the frame. Maybe it's not going to come across here on camera very well, but on the kind of the stippling or the pebbling on the texture, we have some just grime and grit from just years of use. Now, this one I think he got relatively recently, so this one's in pretty good shape, but his 30S had stuff all in the back strap, the front strap. Do you guys, on your polymer guns, do you ever take nylon brushes and CLP and get all that stuff out of there? I've noticed on older polymer guns, we get all this crud that gets built up in there, and I don't think a lot of people actually clean it out. And I got his Glock 30 looking brand spanking new. In fact, I made a video where I take the whole gun down. I say, hey, if you're a Glock owner, you got to take this gun down after every 2,500 rounds, pull out the trigger, pop out the pins, clean out the frame, and I made a video about that. But I think I need to do a good job whenever people lend polymer guns to the channel to really clean out the little stippling. Do you guys ever do that, or do you guys just clean out the main action of the gun? And let me again see if I can get that. No, see, it's not coming across on this camera, but like in real life, like right in here, you can see it looks like it's discolored, like it's kind of white. And all that is just like basic like holster wear or just, you know, shooting grime essentially. And if you take a nylon brush, which will not hurt the polymer, and some CLP, you can really get that out of there and make these frames look like brand new. So I'm sure a lot of you guys do, but I guess because the results on that Glock 30 were so dramatic, I just felt like I needed to ask you guys and tell you guys about it. Because if you're not cleaning your polymer frames, if all you're doing is wiping them down, you're not getting everything out of there. And I can even see there's a little bit of stuff in the back strap here just from just basic use. I mean, this gun is very well taken care of, but I think that stuff just kind of builds up over time on every polymer gun. So that's all I got about that one. So that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about guns tonight. Tell me about the Thunderstruck and 22 Magnum, if you've ever shot one, what your experiences are with them, and you guys clean your polymer frames, okay? So that's just, I said, nothing major tonight, and it is a little bit cold out here. So if you watched to this point in the video and you don't want to hear me talk about politics and venture off into that world, the word of the day is going to be unique. Unique because this little Thunderstruck is a unique revolver. So use that word in the comment section. I know that you're a true vault dweller and can somehow put up with me talking for a while, and you can put up with my voice and the way that I speak, and that's pretty awesome. All right, so fair warning, we're going to start talking about politics and Ukraine. And I don't even want to really do this because I like to keep my channel mainly focused on guns. But I think it's kind of important because that video got a lot of comments. Great comments, by the way. These are not mean comments, okay? It's not the people making fun of me or any of that kind of stuff. They were very good comments where we had dialogue, and they were asking legitimate questions or making legitimate statements and weren't being mean to anybody. But I got a lot of people saying, hey, you know, don't lump in anti-gunners and liberals together. And I was like, you know, that's a fair point. I went back and watched my video, and I realized that I really didn't. I say liberals or anti-gunners. And I understand you can be liberal and very pro-gun. It's weird to me because a liberal will vote for a liberal politician, which I understand because that's what they believe. But then those liberal politicians will take away their gun rights. You know, and I understand if you're a one-issue voter or you're not a one-issue voter. I don't know. I don't know how those people rectify their thought process, because the Second Amendment to me is obviously very, very, very important. So that kind of takes, you know, the forefront of what I think about a politician and their stance on the Second Amendment. But somebody somehow, I guess I had two commenters that kind of, and I don't mean this in a mean way, it appeared that they had TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, because one person, I can't remember, said, you guys are all fools, or what are you guys going to do when, you know, Trump becomes an autocrat and he takes away your guns? And I'm like, I don't really think he's going to do that, and I don't really think he's an autocrat. As I said, they weren't calling me names or anybody that was in the comment section a name, so I responded to it in a very polite way, and I don't think they were necessarily being mean. I just kind of felt like they had TDS. But that wasn't the comment I wanted to reply to. The one that got me thinking and wanting to talk about was one where somebody said something, how do you feel that Trump has betrayed you and is now, essentially getting in bed with Putin, and we're not helping Ukraine. And I wanted to talk about that because I don't know how you guys feel, because I am not a Republican, okay? Like, I like it when Republicans get caught up in all this mess and find out that they're corrupt and get kicked out of office, just as much as I love it when Democrats do as well, because I think they're all corrupt and they're all power hungry and they're all doing it for the wrong reasons. They're not doing it because they want to better the country, they're doing it because they want to better themselves. But anyway, Ukraine. I don't understand people's mentality. And by the way, if you feel differently than me on this topic, you can tell me. Let's just have a nice conversation, okay? We don't have to be enemies or anything. The way that I look at things is Ukraine is not our fight. And by us pulling our funding from the Ukraine war isn't getting in bed with Putin. It isn't, supporting Russia. It's saying that we don't have a horse in that race. It's no different than, let's just say, some third world backwater country in Africa invades another third world, country in Africa for mineral rights or whatever. It's just like, okay, you guys do what you're going to do, but we're not really, we're going to stand back and watch and make sure things don't get out of control, but you guys do you. We're not going to invest our treasure and our young men fighting that war for you. And I really feel like I'm tired of our country spending, I think it was, what did I say, $135 billion on that. And most of it is unaccounted for. And we have people in this country, like in North Carolina, that are still recovering from the hurricanes. Their houses were destroyed. We had all those fires in California, all those fires in, Maui, out in Hawaii. We have the pipes that need to get replaced in Flint, Michigan, and we have homeless veterans on our streets. And I know this is just a small list of things that we got going on in this country. And, all these agencies, all these politicians will come to us and say, we just don't have the funding. I know we only have 100 million, and if we just had $1 billion, we could fix these ponds, but where are we going to get $1 billion from? And yet we funnel $135 billion or more to Ukraine to fight a war that we really don't have a horse in the race. I mean, let's just be honest. If Russia takes over Ukraine or parts of Ukraine, is it going to affect your ability to eat tomorrow? No. Is it going to affect your ability to go to work? Probably not. It's their fight. And Ukraine for a long time was part of Russia. And to be honest with you, I don't care. It's not me being cold. It's just not my fight. They have to fight that. And I don't think American blood should be spilled and our treasure should be spent when we have so many things in this country wrong that we need to fix. I have a brother-in-law who's a veteran, and he does very, very, very well for himself. He has a great job and things, but he is very passionate about veterans and veterans' rights and, helping veterans. And him and I talk a lot about, it's crazy about how we have homeless veterans on our streets, people that signed up for the military and they retired honorably, and we can't get them proper medical treatment through the VA. We can't get them off the street. We have no help for them. We have no funding for them. But yet we'll spend money fighting Putin. I don't care about Putin. And to be honest with you, I don't think Putin's not going to attack our country. And even if they wanted to, our military outpowers them by so much. What is it? Like one aircraft carrier has the ability to pretty much wipe out almost all the nations of the world. And we have 11 of them. Russia has one that's barely functional. I'm not really too worried about Russia, and I don't really think they're going to strike us with nuclear weapons or any of that. And do I want people to die? No, I don't want people to die. But, Ukraine is sending in people that are 50, 60 years old or young kids. I don't want my tax money going and blowing up kids around the world. I'm tired of that. I don't want death. If they want to fight for freedom, they need to do it themselves. If that's what they want or they don't, I don't care. Bad things happen in this world, but my focus is on America. As long as we have homeless vets on our street, I don't think we should be sending money for other countries to fight wars. We should not be sending our sons and daughters to these foreign places to fight wars that we have no real stake in. Yeah, we should be rebuilding houses in North Carolina, rebuilding homes and businesses in California. We should be rebuilding Maui. We should be replacing the pipes in Flint, Michigan. We should be putting our vets in better places than having them live on the street. And that's just, I said, a small list of things that we need to work on here in our country. And I'm tired that we don't help out our own citizens and we spend money elsewhere. So Donald, even though I did not vote in the last election, if I did, I would have voted for Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is doing the exact thing I think the American people voted for him to do. So if you feel differently than me about this, tell me, why do you hate Putin so much? Because honestly, I don't care. It's just like if you ask me about some other evil dictator in some third world backwater country in Africa or South America, I go, okay, he's not a good person, but it doesn't affect my life. And I, from this little garage right here making, gun review videos, I can't change the world. I can't do it. I have to control and worry about the things that I can control and worry about, okay? So me having Putin derangement syndrome, I don't think is healthy for anybody. And, just like we get on people for having Trump derangement syndrome, why are there so many people on both sides of the aisle that have Putin derangement syndrome? I don't care about Putin. Do I think Putin's a bad guy? Yeah, I think Putin's a bad guy. I do. There's nothing I can do about it. And do I think we should be spending billions of dollars fighting some proxy war in a country that doesn't matter to us? No. Now, if all of our veterans had a place to sleep and they were all fed and getting proper medical care, and we were properly funding things here in the United States for like infrastructure projects and fixing roads and so forth, then we can talk, okay? Then it's like, okay, well, what can we do around the world? But until that, not a penny elsewhere. So anyway, that's just all I wanted to talk about politics. Sorry if I bored you, and I'm just curious if I got any of you guys fired up, or do any of you guys think the same way that I do? And if you don't think the same way that I do, it's okay. We can still be friends, okay? I don't hate you because you feel differently than I do, and I hope you don't hate me because I feel differently than you do. Let's just have a dialogue. So anyway, that's all I got for you tonight. So thank you as always for joining me here in the garage. Let me know what you think about these guns, cleaning polymer frames, the Thunderstruck, and Ukraine. So, as always, thanks for watching.